Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Secret Origins of Mint Condition. This is another Back of the Store chat edition, and joining me in the back of the store, as always, is my other host, Joe.
Thanks, James. Glad to be here, and thank God the heat's working in the back of the store because
Yes, I
it's
know
been
it's
cold here in New
a
York.
cold New York, cold everywhere. Cold.
It's
It's been
cold
cold in
everywhere. Yeah,
South Carolina. We had snow in South Carolina for the first time in 6 years. So,
I
uh,
saw the snow on the beach in uh, Louisiana. Right? I mean,
yeah,
that was like sick.
yeah, I know. So
Wow.
it's crazy. So hopefully, when you're listening to this audience, it's warmer or not colder again because we're recording this obviously before the release of it. But we're going to do some back of the store stuff, some wrap up of some things that have come out. So,
Hmm.
Joe, I think the first thing we want to cover is we got the official trailer for Daredevil Born Again for Disney, the Disney Plus show that's going to be released next month.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Well, when I first saw it, I got some notes written down here. It looks like a continuation of the Netflix show. It has the same aesthetic. It seems to be. Um, I know I've got to catch up on and finish um, Hawkeye, right? Because I think there might be some carryover from Hawkeye to this show vis-a-vis Kingpin. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Hawkeye and Echo. I mean, Echo probably that's the last appearance of Wilson Fisk before,
Okay.
which they kind of there's some setup for what might be happening in this Daredevil show with the character. Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, it's obviously looks like it's going to be the most violent Disney MCU TV series we've seen to date.
yes.
You know, and that's what the other show was extremely violent, especially that last season. Wow.
Well, that
So
show
yeah,
set the bar for itself with the was it the second or third episode with the hallway fight? That's
the
what defined the show.
hallway fight, which they actually was it season three? They kind of aped that in an episode of Superman and Lois, I think in season three with Superman and Bizarro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was similar, almost shot for shot the same fight.
Well, I think
So
that hallway fight's like a legend was like legendary now. Like that, if you say Daredevil, you say like if you just say the hallway fight, most people
people
know
know
what
what
you're
you're
talking
talking
about.
about. Yeah, it's a hallway
Yeah.
fight. They say Daredevil. They go, oh, that's Daredevil, right? Yeah, exactly. No, that was two of the most incredible superhero fight scenes I've seen. That's the best. But I think a close runner-up is in a movie that most people didn't like, myself included, which was Superman versus Batman, or BVS, or whatever it's called. The scene where Batman goes to rescue Martha Kent.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's a great. I mean, that's just
Well, that was Batman finally moving like Batman.
Batman, yeah, and just beating the living crap out of
He
these
didn't
these
have to move
guys.
his shoulders to turn his head. So
Yeah,
like and he was like doing all the things he did in the comic books with the grappling gun and like the
yeah.
way
No, that
he,
was a great fight. So
yeah.
yes, so yeah. What do you think about? What was your initial reaction
No,
to
I
it?
think it's like I think the trailer is delivering on the promise that we hoped for this series
Mhm.
to be a continuation of the Netflix series. I've heard like that everything in the Netflix series is canon. So whatever what happened there is happening. It's like this is not like a reboot or like a retelling of the story. It's like it's season 4 of Daredevil is what I've heard,
Yep.
and I kind of like I like that. I don't know if that's that first scene with the two of them sitting and talking is like
Oh, in the diner.
in the diner is like the opening is the first episode or what, but it's kind of interesting how they're both like seem like they're reluctantly being pulled back into like it seems like Daredevil has left the vigilante business and Wilson Fisk is trying to elevate himself with being mayor, but
Yeah.
they're both sitting there knowing like, well, we're gonna get our hands dirty
No, you're
again.
looking well. Somebody said, you're looking well. As somebody said, one of them said that, right? But you know that there's a subtext to that, obviously. So yeah.
And I also
Um,
like they didn't like retcon Wilson Fisk knowing who Daredevil was. Like, that's part of the thing in the comic books. Like he knows
yeah,
who Matt Murdock is.
yeah. No, that's. Did he know that at the end of season three of Daredevil? I forgot. It's been a
Yeah,
while
I
since
think
I've
so.
seen
When
it.
he like
Okay, yeah.
tore his like because season 3 of Daredevil was an adaptation of Born Again because he was
Yes,
trying to
very much so.
because he had like the had Bullseye dressing up like him and he was trying to tear down his name and he blew up
Hmm.
their law firm and
Yeah,
it was basically
there were
Born Again. So
there were story beats from Born Again. I do remember that Matt did not appear in costume at all in season three, if I'm correct, right?
now he was
In,
in
in,
the black suit again.
but we've seen him in the red suit in this trailer, which
And-
I do want to see. We also saw the Punisher in the trailer, right?
yeah.
And we also
He was
saw
like,
Dexter.
Frankie, you put down that hatchet. Like,
Yeah, and we also saw Dexter Poindexter, right?
yeah, the bullseye, right?
Bullseye. And did we see the White Tiger?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was the White Tiger. Oh, cool, that's cool. All
Well,
right,
who is the White Tiger? This character's brand
Hector
new to.
Ayala,
Okay.
whose
Like
first
it.
appearance was in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 19. That's a
Ooh.
magazine, not a comic book.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Really
I'm
good
on
research.
then.
Yeah.
And then we saw Foggy, and we saw what's her name? Karen Page.
Karen Page, same actors,
Same
thank God,
actors. Yeah.
because they were both good. I thought the actress whose name escapes me, and I should have done more research, was really she. I don't know. She was just incredible in season 3.
Oh,
And
Deborah Ann
I
Wall.
loved her. Yeah, thank you. I loved her backstory with the family up in, well, I guess it was
Yeah.
in upstate New York,
Yeah.
and it was just an incredible and Foggy's backstory too, with the family business, with the pork store, whatever that was. I saw somebody say today, they reacted to a trailer today where the showrunner said, "Well, we've seen a lot of that backstory and a lot of that back and forth, people speaking to each other, but I'm going to leave that behind. Maybe he's going to inject even more action into the show, but." And this is, coming from a person who doesn't like reading a comic book with this is from a person who doesn't like reading a comic book with 12 pages of people sitting around a table talking. But I think those scenes in all 3 seasons of Daredevil, where people are sitting around talking about what's going on in their lives and their past, I think those inform who those characters are. And I hope we don't. I hope this new show doesn't eschew those moments in season 4. Give us the action, sure, but I need to know. I need to have those character beats, those character moments.
Well, I think they're working towards a balance, from what I understood, because the original showrunners for the show, their pitch was it was basically going to be, I think, L.A. Law with Daredevil. Like it was going to be mostly him in the
Oh,
in
I
the
never
law.
heard that before. I kind of like that.
It was going to be mostly him in the courtroom doing courtroom things. And Feige saw the first cut.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he's not. He's like, we got to be in the suit. Like people are expecting him to be in the suit, and they're expecting him to be Daredevil from Netflix, I think. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't think they're getting rid of like the talking character moments, but I think they're trying to balance it with what they expect from Daredevil, or what we've come to know from Daredevil.
I still want to see more about Karen and her family and Foggy. Um, I wonder if are they gonna work Elektra into the series? Do you think?
I don't know, because they did so much with Elektra in season. I don't know if I haven't heard anything about Elektra. I'm wondering where they're going to go, because like you hear Matt Murdock's voice say like I've crossed a line I shouldn't cross, which makes me wonder if they're going for the Zdarsky run where Daredevil accidentally kills.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that in one of your threads yeah, texting. Yeah, I think that's possible. Yeah.
And also, maybe. I mean, Zdarsky wrote Wilson Fisk's Mayor too, where he was.
Yes, that's where he becomes mayor. That's right.
So I wonder if this is like pulling heavily from that, which I think Zdarsky's run was good until the last 2 parts of it where it kind of went off the rails. But the
third act wasn't very good. No, that's true.
But the first 2 acts were great.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, I wonder if they're going to go that route, which would be very meaty subject for Daredevil to take on. Like, what does a superhero do when they take an innocent life, and how that weighs on a person, and
especially a superhero who is a devout Catholic.
Yeah,
so he's got to deal with that to begin with. He's got the guilt already on his shoulder to begin with, and then he takes a life, even if it's accidental. He has to deal with that. There were 2 characters in the Zdarsky run, a brother and sister, who were even more powerful than Kingpin, if you remember.
Yes, they were pulling his strings. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to see them in this story, because I would like to see Kingpin getting his strings pulled. Also,
yeah, I don't know if they're going to go that route, but I would like to see that too, because it can't be just Wilson Fisk as mayor and can do whatever he wants. I don't know if they would have that level, give him that level of unchecked power.
There's got to be somebody in the city who would try to stop him, beside Matt, and maybe someone who's even more rich and powerful than Wilson Fisk.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool, I think.
Well, I was reading something about before we jumped on here. I was reading something with the showrunner. Well, the showrunner said that that it's true that Daredevil's in the MCU. He appeared in She-Hulk and he appeared in No Way Home. And it's not. He's like, that's not that those things didn't happen. We're just not leaning into them, because I think the article is whether or not we were going to see She-Hulk at all. And
Yeah, we don't need to see She-Hulk
he
now.
basically said no, but he also said in the articles like there is another character from the Marvel universe that is woven organically into the story that you'd be surprised that this character has ever made it on screen or hasn't made it on screen before.
Okay,
So
so because if you were gonna lean into characters that were that you would associate with Daredevil, other Marvel superheroes, the obvious one would be Spider-Man. I mean,
mm,
Amazing Spider-Man 16, probably 1963, 4. Then a year or two later, Daredevil 16, both crossovers with with Spider-Man. And At some point, I guess it was in the 80s, they realized each other. They doped out who they were and their secret identities. Matt with his radar senses, and Spider-Man with his spider sense, and they couldn't fool each other. And they I wouldn't say they had a Superman Batman relationship, but they were kind of close. And But a character we haven't seen before, you're saying? That's interesting.
that's what they said. So we'll see what happens. I mean people would flip out if Tom Holland appeared
Oh, I
in
think
it,
yeah. Give me
but
5 or 10 minutes of Tom Holland in this.
I mean, they probably want to save that for a movie. The next Spider-Man movie would be great if it was like a street level Daredevil and Spider-Man fighting the Kingpin. Like if this
Oh,
movie led up to like Spider-Man 4 with the Kingpin, like
that would be neat. Yeah, and the way Spider-Man 3 ended, uh, we got the vibes that it might be more of a down to earth street level Spider-Man for the next movie, which I would be very much in favor of. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so but anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Daredevil Born Again. The trailer looks great. I'm glad everyone's back. It seems like Disney Plus realigned their thoughts for the series, and we're gonna get some good stuff out of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there wasn't much humor in obviously the Netflix series because it didn't call for that. Sometimes the humor was in the situations, and I know that there are some MCU TV shows where they kind of inject the humor in there, and it's like, well, this is kind of forced, and we're not laughing with it, we're laughing at it. So I hope they don't try to do that here. I mean, there you can, I guess, what Foggy. No, Foggy can be a humorous character at times. But let's stay very dramatic and very true to the source material here,
Matt
because
can
this
be
is
funny sometimes too. He's a little bit dry wit, I guess. Matt
yes, dry
sometimes.
wit. Yes, he does. That's very true.
He's not like
So
Batman who has no wit
no,
sometimes.
but Batman's a complete and total bore. I mean, he hasn't. I don't think he's ever told a joke in his life. But actually, that's what the way Mark Waid writes him in World's Finest and in this Batman and Robin Year One, there is some humor there, and it's usually at his expense, though.
Well, I mean, when they used to write him in the Batman the animated series, he had humor because
Yes, he did.
there's the line that Chris always quotes is like when Bane destroys his car and he's like
Oh, yeah,
he trashed my car, Alfred, between two guys. That's pretty
yeah,
personal.
that's personal. Yeah, no,
And then
so
there was the time when Alfred like accidentally broke a vase, and Bruce is like, "I'll just take it out of your salary for the next few years."
yeah, that's why that might be. I think you said that's your favorite iteration of Batman, right?
Because he's kind of a human being.
Yeah, very much so.
He's kind of
Yeah,
a person.
and I think you can inject that into Matt Murdock. Um,
Well,
he's been through.
because Matt's like, I mean, it took a while for me to, like, as much as I read the character, it wasn't until I guess the TV show and reading more Daredevil, like, I mean, Matt's like, he's very complex, but he's a person. Like, he's
Mhm.
also very charming. I mean, clearly he's very charming.
Yes,
He's a ladies' man.
he's a ladies' man, right? Right.
I mean, so you
Very
can't
much
be
so.
like, Bruce Wayne pretends to be. He's not like the ladies' man like Matt Murdock is a lady.
No, Bruce needs that for his disguise to put people off. But Matt is very much that. That's very much of his part of his makeup.
Yeah, and plus he's got to be charming in court, and he's got to like talk to people in the courtroom, and you can't be like not funny or not humorous or not like and sometimes not take yourself too seriously to do like the job that he does. I mean, Matt's supposedly he's a great lawyer, right? I mean, he's that's
Oh,
one of
he's a
his.
fantastic lawyer. I mean, he's he they tried the Hulk many years ago, and Matt Murdock was the lawyer. He's the retainer for the Fantastic Four, and God knows they need a lawyer
Yeah,
because every time they get into a fight, they ruin half of Manhattan. So get Matt on speed dial back in
yeah.
the
So
day in the 80s.
yeah, he's got to be a person. Like he can't just
Yeah,
be like not funny and not witty. So yeah. So and I love Charlie Cox. I think Charlie Cox, like, not that there's ever been a
excellent.
great. I mean, he nailed the character. Not that there's anyone to compare him to, but like he's the first actor to really portray the character, and he's nailed the portrayal.
Yeah, he'll always be known as Daredevil. Yeah, he's William Shatner the role.
Yeah.
So put it in
So
that. Yeah.
well, I mean, yeah. So I think we're looking forward to it. This is coming out in February, audience, when you're listening to this. So next month will be Daredevil. It's March. So Joe, I know when we jumped on, you surprised me. You wanted to talk about another trailer that came out this week that gave us a little bit more.
Yes, the second mini trailer of Superman, debuting July 11th of this year, and people are either losing their mind or loving it. That scene where he's flying, we saw the scene in the first trailer with the cameras behind him, and you see his the cape flapping in the wind in his head, and you can see the red S on his cape. Thank God they put the S back on the cape. But then he spins around, he comes towards the camera, and it stops, and it looks CGI to me.
Hmm.
Because if you go back and look at some of the scenes in Superman, what the hell was it called with Brandon Routh? Returns?
Returns.
Yeah, there's too many Superman movies.
I
I can't keep track of
know.
them. But yeah, obviously when the whole, almost the entire sequence with the big save with the space shuttle and the airplane, that's all CGI. And you can, when he's flying towards the camera with this, holding up the space shuttle, oh, come on, man. But Gunn says this is not CGI. That face was not CGI. And you know what? All the more troubling because it just, I don't know, maybe it was the lighting. First of all, he looked very pale
Hmm.
for Superman. And I can remember Christopher Reeve back in the day flying towards the camera. And maybe it was the lighting. And of course, it was not, it was all practical effects. He was on wires, right? For most of the time, or he was on that whatever they call that boom thing. And it just, even if the flying today doesn't look as real, he looked real. In that sequence there, when he spins around and faces the camera, I don't know. I got a bad vibe with that. I really did. If you remember the flying in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3
Mm-hmm.
with, now who was the character who was flying?
Was it Warlock?
Warlock, yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't look too good. So I'm hoping it's better than that. You know what? I mean, I don't know. I was a little put off by that, and I've seen most of the critiques have been in disfavor of that scene. People saying, well, hopefully this isn't the way all the flying is going to be. Uh, Far be from me to compliment Man of Steel, as you know, I'm not a fan of that movie, but when you look at Henry Cavill flying towards the camera and Mr. Cornsweat, Cavill looks more believable. He looks real.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve looked real. This doesn't look real. I don't know why. And it's not. And Gunn says it wasn't CGI.
Okay.
So what happened?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough to deter the movie.
No, it's not. But I mean,
I mean, we're just hoping at this point for a bright Superman that tells a good story, and that yeah, I think
yeah,
that's what we're looking for. That's it. That's it.
no, that's what we're looking for. I mean, I think the dog helps. Obviously, having
Yeah.
Crypto in the movie. Um, hopefully they'll do some stuff with Jimmy Olsen because when Jimmy Olsen is written correctly, he is kind of like the butt of the joke around the Daily Planet newsroom. Obviously, Jack Larson, that was his entire for 6 years on the Adventures of Superman. He was there for comedic effect. But you look at other Jimmy Olsen's, Mark McClure in the four Superman movies, there for comedic effect. The second Jimmy on Lois and Clark, Justin Whalen, was capable, but there were moments where you laughed at him or with him because he was playing some comedy in that show too. Show being a comedy adventure anyway. So I want to see some of that.
He was funny in Smallville also, even though that wasn't the Jimmy Olsen. It was a.
Oh, that's right. That was the what was his name? He was
Well,
He
he was
went,
still calling Jimmy, but then they realized that he was like there's also he wasn't the Jimmy. Like
oh, because
also
they killed him, right?
they killed him, and but then we realized his nephew or cousin or
His little
whatever,
brother.
little brother maybe. They gave him the camera, and he was also named.
And then when it was 11 years later, they brought the same character back as the grown-up
Yeah,
Jimmy Olsen, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and he was Olsen. How many great seasons goes today? I don't know. I lost count, but yeah. So hopefully, my greatest fear with all these superhero movies, I don't have this fear for Daredevil because Daredevil doesn't lend itself to a lot of CGI, nor should it. Street level,
Yeah.
you know. Gunn has said there's going to be practical effects more than we have seen. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that there are some really good flying rig effects in this movie that are it's not all CGI. So
Okay. Yeah.
again, we'll see.
I think that was the only new scene. Well, the other new scene is what Lex Luthor walking out of the helicopter in the Arctic or something.
Yes, looking even more menacing, by the way.
Yeah, he's got Michael Rosenbaum vibes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you said that. I was thinking about the same thing. Yes. What a departure from Joker Lex from Man of Steel or whatever the
Right.
hell. Yeah. Just Batman v Superman. I can't think of that actor's name.
Oh, Jesse Eisenberg.
Thank you. Yeah, that
He's
was
a good
probably,
actor, just not wrongly cast. That's all.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, or poorly written on the part
Well,
of
yeah.
Snyder and Goya. You can't. The Joker. Lex Luthor's not the Joker,
Right.
and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was now he was in the Arctic, right, when he stepped
Yeah.
off that. So is Lex going to find the Fortress of Solitude again?
Well, it's happened again, right? It's happened before.
It's happening. Gene Hackman found it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if anybody in Lois and Clark found it. Oh, his half brother found it in the Superman and Lois. There was no Fortress of Solitude in Lois and Clark, so because they couldn't afford it, they didn't have the budget for it. Yeah, so yeah, okay. Luthor finds the fortress again. That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the one in the comic books has found it many times.
Oh yeah. Stuff in the Arctic, everybody finds out. That's what happened in the Arctic. People keep. Oh, look at it! It's
Oh, I mean, Michael Rosenbaum found it too. He was in the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I forgot that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was like his last season. I think he like supposedly died like when in the fortress until he came back in the. I think that's how he.
You ever watch Talkville with his
Yeah.
I saw him the other day. I get little snippets on YouTube while he left, and he had the two creators, Michael Gow and Miles Millar.
Yep.
Right. And he said, I left because you guys left. And they said, well, we had no stories to tell after season 7. And, they're kind of right because seasons 8, 9, and 10 were, they were up and down a lot. It's kind of like season 3 of Star Trek.
Yeah, it went on. I think it went at least 2 seasons too long. I did like it because they let Jeff Johns write the Justice Society, and we had like a little Justice League, and
we had Booster Gold.
Like I said, at the time when Smallville was on, the fact that Smallville actually had Hawkman.
Yeah,
Hawkman, like legit Hawkman.
Oh, they killed off when they also, right?
Yeah,
they killed a whole lot of people in Smallville.
Yeah, but they had Hawkman. I can't believe that. Yeah, and they had Dr. Fate.
Fate. We Alan Scott was there. We did see his ring on the single, not in costume.
Jay Garrick's helmet was there.
Yes.
They had a picture. They had a picture. I think there was the painting by Alex Ross with all of them around.
Oh,
the
they
table.
were sitting around the table. Yeah.
So that they acknowledged that the Spectre was around the table, and
No, Smallville gave us in the last 3 years. I guess they had to go that route because at that point Clark was basically Superman. But yeah, we got Zatanna.
Yeah, we got Zatanna. Yeah,
we got Booster Gold and Jaime Reyes as a Blue Beetle.
Right. Yeah. I can't. I mean, listen. I said the only, like I said, the running joke, I've said it before, audience, like he defeated all of his bad guys by the end of the 10th season. Like,
there was nothing left but the prankster and the toy man. And who wants to see that?
I mean, when we pick up it with him in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he says he retired and became mortal to raise a family. And why not? Because he defeated everybody. There's no reason to be.
I guess his Earth, his Earth or his universe was, we never did see Brainiac. Did we see? We did see Brainiac.
Yeah, James Marsden's played Brainiac.
Yeah. Was he a Martin Fine? The Martin Fine Brainiac?
He was Martin Fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. He was a liquid metal Martin Fine Brainiac.
Who wound up in the 4th season of Superman and Lois? Martin Fine, right?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. But all right. So that's Superman, and then I guess the other news I wanted to discuss, Joe, is that we learned that Diamond Comics was going bankrupt this past couple weeks.
Yeah, I didn't read. I should have checked in with the couple of the podcasts, video podcasts I watch, and I didn't. What happened, James? What exactly
Well, I think
happened?
they're not bankrupt. They're filing for bankruptcy. They're filing. Diamond Comic Distributors has now filed a voluntary petition for relief under Chapter 11, which is
Ah,
basically bankruptcy.
bankruptcy.
Diamond has managed to incur up to 50 million in debts, including
Wow.
over 1 million and 900,000 to Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, respectively. They are unable to continue normal operations as normal. So I guess the hoopla really, Joe, is that they're basically the go-to because DC, I guess, is going through Penguin distribution now. Is that correct?
A lunar, I think.
Lunar, and then
Yeah.
Marvel. Like, I guess the thing is, like, Marvel obviously can do its own distributing if it wants, but then all the little guys, like, there's no other game in town. I guess is the concern, and is this
Yeah,
going
the
to be?
independents. How are they going to get their books out?
Yeah, so I
Exactly.
guess they're kind of restructuring, and that's part of the industry right now is figuring out what's going to happen because there's no other way for them to get their books out. Yeah, there's no other way to get their books out, I guess, right now. So,
And this all trickles down because if you can't get the books out to the retailers, then obviously the retailers lose business and they could lose customers, obviously. If you have to incur more shipping charges to get these books out, then the retailers are going to have less of a profit margin on these books because the books are the books are stamped with a price. Very few retailers will charge more than the fixed price on the cover of the book. Some have done that. I know some who have done that. I'm not going to name names. It's years ago, so why even bring it up? But yeah, I mean, in an industry that's suffering already, it's interesting that this happened. I'm not sure exactly what that was about. Was it mismanagement? Did it have something to do with the pandemic when they couldn't get books to the stores, and then people went to other sources of distribution? But they need to figure this out. The comic
yeah,
industry, because you have to get these things into the stores on Wednesday. You got your Wednesday warriors. They show up. They want their books. You remember what it was like at Mint Condition, right?
oh yeah, that was that was the big day. It was when Wednesday was comic book day.
That I would always never stand in front of the back door at about 11 o'clock because I knew Alco was going to swing that door open, and it's all right. I'll be right back. I'm going next door to get my lunch, and I'll be back in 10 minutes. Have my books pulled for me. Okay, Alco. But if you stood in front of that back door, you got body slammed into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, they've also talked about. I've listened to a few podcasts about this. They've also said that Diamond. This is the biggest thing, but Diamond has been late recently. A lot of their orders have been late.
Yep.
Obviously, the pandemic. I mean, there was a lot of bad things. I don't know if you can solely pin this on Diamond, but it wasn't great either during the pandemic time, and then they've been late since that, coming out of the pandemic time, and it sent a lot of shops
Yes.
underwater. They've lost business because people want their books on time and they can't get their books on time, so they go somewhere else, or so it's
Or they do what I do. I get my books from Discount Comic Book Services once a month. My books are coming this Thursday. It's about 20 books I'll be getting. Uh, Not a single Marvel book, I have to say. It's DC and Independence. I've given up on Marvel. But yeah, I mean, and I get a 40% discount. Why
yeah,
wouldn't I do that? I mean, and I was a former LCS owner, and I know many times we signed out, I said, support your LCS, and you can still do that, folks. If you want to get your books on time, and it's not the LCS's fault that they're not coming in on time. Don't blame them, and you can still go to them, pick up supplies, check out some stuff in the back issue bins. Hell, get a hold of a Marvel Epic Edition or these new DC finest books that they're putting out. So
yeah.
there's some, there's many reasons to continue to go. I shouldn't have said what I just said. There's many reasons to keep going, but to
Yeah,
the
I mean, listen,
LCS.
there's a reality to it too. I mean, we want to support the local LCS, but
Right.
also as an individual, like it's expensive to collect books. I mean, and
Yes.
that's, I mean, LCSs know it. I mean, they're doing the best they can, but it's tough. It's also tough with, like you just said, the DC like pocket books that they have now, like
Those are
the
doing
hand,
very well.
they're doing very well, but also Barnes and Noble can get them too,
Yeah, exactly.
and Amazon can get them, and it's if you're able to financially support an LCS, that's wonderful. And if you are just trying to read the books, I mean, at this point, it seems like we're just trying to keep the heartbeat of the industry alive, let alone the individual stores. I mean, like just like
Yes, that's a
we just
good
want people
point.
buying books. I mean, we want people to support the local comic book stores also, because they are the front line of getting them out there. But it's I was listening to one of the podcasts, and we've talked about this before, but which I didn't know is like the major thing that's keeping the comic book industry alive is manga, but also Scholastic.
Yes,
Scholastic
Celeste is doing very well.
with with the movie that's coming out with was it the
Dogman.
Dogman and Captain Underpants? That's like their which is funny. It's funny that DC and Marvel can't do this. Like Dogman and Captain Underpants are read by kids.
Millions of kids. Yes.
That means the kids are into reading graphic novels.
DC has a comic book now called Little Batman. I don't know if it's selling well or not, but that would seem like a cool idea for a Scholastic type book. For like starting a reader, like an 8-year-old, maybe a 7-year-old. How about a Superboy book? Right? I mean, so not who cares if it's in continuity or not? That's not the point.
Well, I mean, at this point, we just have to get like younger readers to read the classic characters. We might have to like change the story or simplify it, but we got to like not we, but the industry as a whole. Like classic comics are only a small percentage of, like I said, classic superhero comics, or even just like classic comic books as we know it are a small percentage, since the at least 50% of the pie, if not more, is divided between manga and Scholastic at this point.
Much more. Yeah, probably closer to 70%.
Yeah,
I mean, DC and Marvel are they're not doing too well, and I still say the main reason is it's just too damn expensive.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, I mean, $5.99 for a book
I think that's the main reason. You can talk about other things that are distribution, marketing, content. Maybe hiring people because you're too cheap to pay good money. Hiring people that are not really ready to do the job. But I still say the biggest problem is that the price point is prohibitive. So, and that's something they have to attack.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to listen, money, like everyone has to watch their budget, and people only have a certain amount of money for entertainment and stuff like this, and it is hard to justify spending $5.99 on 5 books when you could also spend $25 on a trade paperback when it's all over.
Yeah. I've been thinking. Let's see. I think Space Ghost, which has been doing very well. I know the first trade is out. The first 6 issues. I'm thinking of getting that, and if that would be cheaper than if I purchased the original series. And I think the first Uncanny Valley trade is out also. It will be coming out soon.
Yes, because issue 5 or 6 just came out a couple months ago. So
I want to get my hands on that. I want to read that. And obviously anybody who's listening to us right now, go get your hands on Junkyard Joe.
Yes, well, that's a trade that's out. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I agree with you. It's the price point. It is the distribution, and it's the advertising. Like
the marketing is terrible. It really is.
I mean, manga seems to sell itself, and obviously Scholastic's doing a good job, whatever they're doing to get Dogman and Captain Underpants, and there's one more in that line that's doing very well. But they're doing something very well to get those books out there into the hands of the right readers too.
Exactly, and these are the younger. These are going to be the readers you hope that will move on later on as they to graduate to the quote unquote mainstream books.
Yeah,
to Spider-Man, to Batman, to Superman, to the Fantastic Four, Wolverine, Hulk. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
I mean, those two those two markets of manga and what Scholastic is putting it proves that the medium is not dead. It's just like maybe the companies that were the old standbys are just not they're somehow not tapping into the next generation. And I don't know. So well, hopefully the Diamond thing gets resolved, because obviously we want to see independent books continue to go, and I think that's the real thing, because obviously Marvel, like I said, Marvel can figure out how to distribute itself. It's the little Image and every other independent publisher has to figure out how they're going to get out there if Diamond happens to go away.
I mean, Mad Cave is a very small publisher, but there's 2 books that they put out that I read. It's obviously Jeremy Adams' Flash Gordon, and their period piece Dick Tracy, which is a
Yeah.
great period piece, hard boiled detective, comic book, and so I can imagine those guys are probably like, oh, shoot, one of our streams, one of our avenues to get our books into the stores is dried up. And
Yeah.
it's got to be rough.
That's scary times. Yeah. So, well, I think that's all the comic book news that I have. I'm trying to think if anything else has come up that I was like, oh, this would be interesting to discuss with Joe and see what he thinks. But I think that's those are all the big things.
Big things, yeah. There's,
Yeah.
we do have, let's see, well, sometime early next month, we do have the drop of Captain America and is it Brave New World?
Brave New World, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The movie that's been reshot more times than,
I'm hoping for good things.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel did a great year last year, so I'm hoping for good things this year as they kick it off. I've heard the Thunderbolts is great from people who've really reviewed that.
Okay. And has there been a Fantastic Four trailer yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Should be soon. Probably with the Super Bowl, I'm imagining.
Yeah. I wonder if Gunn's going to do a like a 2.5 minute Superman trailer for the Super Bowl.
Maybe. I mean, maybe he's building up to that.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
By the way, is the only reason I'm going to watch Super Bowl. I mean, just a little inside sports here. We just had this past weekend. We had on Sunday. We had the conference games. I did not watch 1 minute of Commanders versus Eagles, and the Eagles just trounced them 50-something, 55 or whatever. I watched the first 10 minutes of what is it? The Bills versus the Chiefs. There was this. They sacked Mahomes. He coughed up the ball. One ref is signaling Bills ball, and then there's a flag thrown, a late flag. Oh, offsides, all erased, and automatic first down for the Chiefs. And I said, okay, it is fixed. There was another. Then I went back at the end and watched the last 2 minutes to see if they could pull it out. The Bills, they didn't. I'm convinced, like most of America, that the NFL has the fix in for this three-peat for the Chiefs. So I'll be watching the Super Bowl for one thing only: the commercials this year. I could give a. Right now, the Rangers are playing. I don't know how they're doing. They had a terrible loss the other day on Saturday, but I got hockey and I got pitches and catches in 2.5 weeks in baseball. So Chris and I give it up on the NFL.
All right. Well, that's fair. I know you guys have the NFL has left you behind. So
it really has.
We watched a couple moments of the Eagles and Commanders, and then Karen and I stopped, and then we watched just a little bit of the Chiefs and the Bills. Like we'll watch the Super Bowl, because we like it as an event. We have some neighbors over, so but we also like the commercials and the stuff like that. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what commercials are dropped in terms of the things we're excited about this year. Obviously, you said Superman. Maybe we'll get FF.
Yeah. You think we'll get a Thunderbolts trailer?
Definitely Thunderbolts, because that's coming up.
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts, and I hope Captain America's good because if it looks like a Winter Soldier vibe, we'll see what happens. I mean,
we shall see. Yeah. I'll sit down and watch that Super Bowl and at the beginning. But if there's a controversial play that goes for the Chiefs, then I may do the unthinkable. This giant fan may do the unthinkable and root for the freaking Eagles. And I love Patrick Mahomes. I think that kid is amazing. But, you can't. It's too much. These penalties are egregious. They're ticky-tack. Let these guys play and give me a break holding. Nobody knows what holding is. It's like a check swing in baseball. Nobody knows what the hell that is. Come on. This guy's crashing into each other. Of course they're going to hold. Hey, horse collar, that's a holding. But, some of these holding to line of scrimmage and the play is downfield by 40 yards on a bomb and, holding it about. Hold that back. No, come on. No, sorry. Little did you guys know you're going to get a back in the store and get a little sports episode in here. Joe's rant on football. But I can't take it anymore. I really can't.
No, I understand. Well, I can feel your pain because I don't follow as closely as you and Chris were. So, because Karen and I are just casual football watchers. So, but I can feel the emotion, Joe. So.
Do you ever tune into some baseball games? You and Karen?
Not really. They're just, you
Okay.
know what, like, because obviously we have less than the basic cable package, so we really don't get any
You got
like,
the Yankees and Mets now, huh?
yeah. So they
What about
just
like a game of the week type of thing? Don't they have anything like that down there? Like
sometimes, but like we might, like we just will casually watch sports. It's hard for us like to like.
next time you watch baseball and there's a check swing, pay attention
I'll pay attention.
because
Yeah.
you will not agree with the call, guaranteed.
Okay. I can't remember, Joe. Did I talk about Skeleton Crew at all? The Star Wars show. I don't know if I. It's finished. I don't know if I talked about its wrap up, but
No, I didn't even know there was a. I don't. I remember you guys mentioning that in a former
anyway, well, there
podcast.
was a show called Skeleton Crew that recently wrapped up on Disney Plus. It was very good. It starred Jude Law,
Oh, Jude
um,
okay, and I know that what that is now. Okay,
and yeah, it was good. It was like Goonies and E.T. meets Pirates of the Caribbean in terms of like the
okay,
themes. It's
that's
like
interesting.
it was centered around kids, but it had to do with piracy in the Galactic Republic. It doesn't involve like the only thing it involves is like they talk about Jedi, and Jedi are a theme in it, but otherwise there's no previous characters. There's no
All
mention
new
of previous
characters.
characters. It's just a brand new story. It centers mainly around kids. Jude Law was great. I mean, yeah, I thought it
Well,
was
he's a good
fun.
actor. He's an excellent actor.
Of the shows, I would say this is one of the stronger Star Wars Disney Plus shows.
Okay, maybe what's it called again?
Skeleton Crew.
Maybe I'll have to check it
If you're
out.
looking for just like a fun like sort of adventure, it's
Okay.
kind of hard to compare. Like, I obviously Andor is the best Star Wars Disney Plus show,
How
but
many
Andor
seasons of Andor have there been?
just one. They're
Just
getting
the
ready for
one?
season two.
Okay. All right. I got to catch up on that one because I, you
But
guys have.
Skeleton Crew was great. I enjoyed it a lot, so I recommend checking it out, audience.
Did you watch? As you know, I said this months ago. I had no inclination, no intention of watching the Section 31 movie, but did you check it out?
I did not
Star
check
Trek?
it out yet. I
Okay,
will.
it's getting killed.
I know it's not
Okay.
getting good reviews. Yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
yeah. It's supposedly it's all filmed in front of an AI wall. It's like a
Mm.
gigantic ship episode, and there's it's very dark, and at the same time the humor is forced. I've heard, and it's just no, no. I'm done. I'm done with Section 31. Come on, man. Star Trek's supposed to be about hope and looking forward, not back. I mean, enough with this.
Well, I'm finishing up. I did a rewatch because I wanted to rewatch it after to see if I had a different perspective on it. So I'm finishing up season 5 now of Lower Decks.
Oh,
Um,
got that far, season 5. Wow, that's the last season, correct?
that's the last season. I think you would like Lower Decks. I know it's a cartoon. I know it's a
I
little,
like cartoons, and I know it's a comedy, right?
and they go. These writers have a lot of respect for all Star Trek.
Okay,
It doesn't. They have fun with the history of Star Trek, and they also tell like as the fact that it's like comedic. They also have some character moments, and they have
I'm
some
sure they
poignant
do.
things. And they yeah, I'd recommend checking it out for you. Like
Okay,
they're 30-minute episodes, 25 minutes, like 25-minute episodes, and they go quickly. And now that I've seen Enterprise and Voyager, when I did a rewatch, I did a rewatch to go back to season 5 because when I originally watched it, I watched it up to like season 3, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm getting all this, but seeing Voyager and seeing Enterprise, it does fill in some
interesting.
some jokes I get now, some references I get now.
Okay,
They bring some characters back from Next Gen that you thought, and it's the same actors voicing them, and it's fun.
okay.
It's fun, and
They bring
the
back
right
Reg. Did
they
Reg
don't
make it
bring
back?
back Reg.
Oh,
They
he
don't
would
bring
be
back
perfect
Reg.
for a show like that. I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but they bring back some other people. I don't want to spoil like
Okay.
their cameos here and there, and you know, it's fun. I think you would enjoy it. I enjoy it more now. I was kind of hard on the show at first, but you have to like I guess with this show watching it is like you have to separate the fact that one, these are lower decks, which means they're the lower crew of the ship, because some of the ways they react are and it's a cartoon, so some of their reactions, like, you have to remember, okay, if this was live action it wouldn't be so over the top,
Right. Okay.
because part of my thing is reconciling this tone with what we've seen in Star Trek. And I think if you like say like, well, they're using the medium that they're using to
To
express
tell
these
that story.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, which if it was a live action comedy, it would like fit into a live action, like we saw with that Strange New Worlds episode where they
Oh
brought
yeah,
Lower
that's
Deck.
your crossover. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
so
very good. That was very well done.
So anyway, Lower Decks is good. I hope the season 5 ends strongly, and I recommend you check it out, Joe. I think you enjoy
Okay,
it. So
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
I think that's all the pop culture
Oh, if I could
news.
mention one other pop culture thing. Last Friday they took a week off, so we have 6 episodes in of Dexter Original Sin, and Keith and I are just going crazy gaga over it. It's definitely better than Dexter New Blood. It's better than the last 2 years of Dexter, and it's like it's filling in some very important gaps. And season episode 6 last week had I would not give it away, but it had one of those jaw dropping what the f moments. Like I didn't see this coming. So Keith and I have been talking about that, texting back and forth. What could it be? And but wow. So I would, if you're a Dexter fan and you're thinking, well, they kind of like, they would do flashbacks in the original series. Yes, but this fills it in so much. And Christian Slater plays Harry, and talk about a tragic character. This guy, I mean, some of it is because of his own making, his own faults. But wow, he's stealing the show. By the way,
Huh?
right now, so he's just doing incredible. I can see him winning an Emmy award for this.
Wow,
So I
very
highly
cool.
recommend Dexter Original Sin.
Very nice, very nice. Oh, you know what? This is like a little off of our what we normally talk about. Well, not really. I started watching the show Shogun. Very good show. I mean, these shows like because they're on Hulu, like it's Disney Plus slash Hulu,
Mm-hmm.
so they can run for long as they want. So one episode's like an hour, one episode. So it takes me like 2 nights to watch it because it's all most of it's subtitled Japanese. So you also have to read
Yeah.
like what the characters are saying and stuff.
So
But it's very good.
the pause
It's
button. I know I probably
yes,
have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, I mean, like half, like I get through 20 minutes of an episode, and then the next time, I'm like, okay, I'll do the next, like whatever 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's very good. It's what can I say? It's just like there's a lot of scheming. There's a lot of power grabbing. There's the whole honor system. There's the culture of Japan. It's just very interesting. So. If you're into that kind of stuff, I'd recommend it. It's like I guess I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I guess some of it could be just
You were reading
premise.
my mind. I was going to ask you if it was like Game of Thrones,
I
but
guess it could be like Game of Thrones, except set in ancient Japan, or
okay. Yeah. Well, that's probably where Game of Thrones got it from.
yeah. So it's a, but it was. I know
People created
Shogun
that
was a
show.
show on back. It was originally Shogun was on what back in the '70s or
Yep.
something.
Hmm.
So like, this is I guess obviously a remake of that, but it's very good. It's just if you have to read subtitles, which is nothing wrong with that. Well, sometimes when we watch TV in general, Joe, Karen and I put the subtitles on because we just don't what the. Sometimes the people's volume is so low.
Somebody was talking about that on the video the other day about modern movies and sound. I wish we had Adrienne here because she could enlighten us. But they were talking about the sound. The guy that was reviewing Section 31 said there's a lot of problems with this film: the acting, the scripting, the directing, but the sound. He says because there's a lot people are talking over each other, and that seems to be a new thing now because they're trying to create realistic dialogue. But still, at the same time, it's disconcerting because you don't hear all the words. And is it because they're talking over each other, or is it because the sound? He said there's other parts of the film where there's only two people speaking, and you still don't understand what they're saying. And I found that to be the case when I'm watching modern stuff. And I thought, well, I'm getting old, so it's probably my hearing. And then I put on the captioning, but it's an interesting thing about sound in modern film and television, and I'm not sure why they do that. Unless they're trying to make it more realistic, because as life goes on, you don't hear everything every day, right? Even when you're
Yeah, yeah.
conversing. But I don't think. I think when there are certain conventions and conceits in live action TV and movies that would not happen in real life. It's a comedy, and Lucy, Ricky, and the Mertzes are in a restaurant, and they're talking, and there's a lot of comedy going back and forth. There's people behind them, but you don't hear them, right? And
Yeah.
even in a modern setting, you wouldn't hear them, but that wouldn't happen in real life. You're in a restaurant, you're speaking to your whoever across the table, you do hear the ambient sound around you of the other
Yeah, yeah.
conversations.
Well, sometimes I can't even hear the main characters. So like that's like
Yeah.
but anyway, so we read subtitles normally, not just for the show with subtitles. So Not for everything, but some shows were just like I can't make out what they're saying. I got to put on the subtitles. So, well, Joe, before we wrap up today, you reading anything you want to highlight that you're reading right now, or
Well, new stuff. I'm waiting for my, as I said, I'm waiting for my DCBS order to come this Thursday, and I'm really excited about the next issue of Flash Gordon by Jeremy Adams. But I'm getting Aquaman #1 also by Jeremy Adams. That's really got me
oh,
stoked.
I read that.
Oh, you did? Did you like it?
I did like it. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Because I'm a big Aquaman fan.
I actually messaged Jeremy on Instagram afterwards. I was like,
cool.
said you were the only person outside of Peter David who would get me to read Aquaman.
There you go. Well, Peter David's
he said, thank you very much. He said, thank you.
I'm sure he took that as a great compliment. He should, because Peter David is a great writer. But yes, and also coming with that order amongst the other comic books is my first DC Finest collection, and it's Aquaman.
Huh?
And there's at least 20 or 30 of those little 6-page backups in Adventure Comics of the day in the 50s that I've never read.
Oh, cool.
All penciled by the great Ramona Fradon, who only passed away just last year.
Wow.
In her 90s, and I'm psyched about those. So yeah, I'm psyched about Aquaman.
Really Very cool. Yeah, no, I let's see. The only thing I think I can't remember if I what did I read? Because they're coming out regularly on Hoopla right now. I've read G.I. Joe #2 of the new series.
Williamson, right? Writing
Williamson. It's very good. He's got a large task because G.I. Joe has a huge ensemble cast. And so he's trying to introduce these characters while also telling the story, while also keeping it in line with the Transformers, while also keeping it in line with Void Rivals. So
that's a big task. Okay.
And making it connect with the Cobra Commander series and the Duke series.
Wow.
And then so he's doing, I think, it's a good story, but I think he's also doing the best he can, like trying to make this fit in with this huge universe. He's been, tasked with, I think the G.I. Joe book will ultimately be the book where all of these things collide. So he's got a lot of, he's doing a lot of work. Because I don't think Daniel Warren Johnson didn't worry quite so much about the G.I. Joe stuff when he was writing Transformers, and Void Rivals is not really worrying about the G.I. Joe stuff, but Williamson has to balance all that stuff in the G.I. Joe world. So I think he's doing the best he can. I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I've heard people praise him for that. I mean, he's getting high marks for his work on the Energon universe books.
Yeah, he's doing great. So, and what else I read? I don't know if I said this last time. I finished Ultimatum. I'm finally gone back in time. I finished reading the Ultimatum part of the Ultimates, the original Ultimate comic books.
Oh, that set up the new Ultimate.
Well, that's this Ultimatum. The Ultimatum spoilers, audience. This has been out for God how many years, but 10 years at least. It's when Magneto kills.
Okay. Oh, that's the original. Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then so that was good because I finally finished Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1 that led into Ultimatum, where and now I'm reading Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, which picks up after Ultimatum, and it's not as good as Volume 1. This is where Peter now is living with Gwen, Bobby Drake, and Johnny Storm. Aunt May is basically turned it into a boarding house for these wayward heroes who lost their families.
I never read that. I just didn't. I never got that far into Ultimatum. Yeah.
So it's good. Like I said, it just wasn't it's
Isn't that why they introduced Miles Morales in Ultimatum?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not a spoiler because I know what happens, but 3 volumes from, I just wanted to lead up to that because the volume 3 is where Peter Parker dies.
Right. Okay, that I do remember. Okay, I think I read that far, and maybe as far as the introduction of Miles Morales, and I said, I'm done with this because it was just too much. I couldn't.
So, and then I want to read Blood Hunt because it's collected. So to lead up to Blood Hunt, and I've heard good things about it, I've been reading Jed MacKay's Moon Knight run. So I just finished reading Moon Knight Volume 2. That's
been getting high praise from a lot of people. Yeah, it's not as Avengers, but as Moon Knight, yes.
Yeah, the Moon Knight's great. His the art is great too. I mean, it's well written, it's well drawn. Like I said, I know very little about Moon Knight, as we discussed a couple of years ago with the Moon Knight TV series.
My favorite Marvel TV series, Moon Knight.
But Moon Knight has he's got a good cast of characters, and I'm gonna stick with it because I've heard good things about the run. The run's been good so far, and eventually I'd like to read Blood Hunt. Because I'm always in for a Dracula story, Joe. So, and Blood Hunt, the end of Blood Hunt, I know just from other podcasts, leads into One World Under Doom.
Yeah, so, Doom tricks Stephen Strange into giving up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, and he becomes Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes, and I heard there's a good book now that I'll have to wait for the trade. But there's a there's a book, The Many Deaths of Peter Parker, going
Oh,
on
the
right
Eight
now.
Deaths of Peter Parker. Yeah, it's been as it gets reviewed issue by issue. There's ups and downs with that. I passed on that. I do have an order in with DCBS for Amazing Spider-Man Volume 167, number one, because there's been so many volumes. And only because Pepe Larraz is doing the artwork. It's still Joe. Is it Joe Kelly? Yeah.
Joe Kelly, yeah.
I'm going to read the first issue and see what I think about it. But I think Peter is still out of work. Still doesn't have a girlfriend.
Wow.
Has a, he's not with
Hopefully
Mary
Joe
Jane.
Kelly will give him a job.
At least give him a job. My God.
Oh, and Dan Slott's writing Superman now, right?
Superman Unlimited. We have the Summer of Superman coming up. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. The Summer of Superman coming up. He's getting an ongoing Superman book. Then DC, they're doing a crossover, Mark Waid, from World's Finest to a Superman special, then to Justice League Unlimited. And that's going to lead into some more things. I think Dan Moore is leaving Superman after issue 25 when they wrap up the Doomsday storyline. But I think that's the last issue of Superman, and then we're going to get a volume, whatever, of Superman number one, which is going to in sometime in the summer, because we're getting a new volume of Batman after the 6-issue Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. Okay. So those books are starting over at number one, and then they're finally getting rid of the failed Superman superstars in Action Comics. Okay. And so sometime after this, in the Summer of Superman, they're going to put a regular team on Action Comics. Now, they haven't said who that's going to be. I'm not crazy about Dan Slott writing Superman, because I think we could have pages of Dan and Superman and Lois sitting around the table eating. So, but we'll see. I hope Williamson continues on the regular Superman book.
I don't know if he's hopefully. I think he's doing a good job. I read volume one of it. I plan to read volume 2 of his Superman run. So
his run gets better. Yeah, what he's doing right now with Doomsday and the Time Trapper and it's also illustrated by Dan Moore. It's probably one of the best ongoing books that DC's doing right now.
All right, okay. Can't wait. So that was good, George. I was thinking, Joe, the Summer of Superman, the Summer of George, the Summer of
George. Yeah. Is that when he falls down the stairs and he hurts his leg?
Yeah, breaks his leg. He's
like, Summer of George. Oh, what's the deal about airline? And you want to play? What was the game called? Frolf, golf and frisbee.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh well, Joe. I think we did it, right? I think we
did it. We did it. Off the cuff, Yeah. Why the hell not?
We went around the whole pop culture universe at this point. So
yeah.
Well, listening audience, I hope you've enjoyed this back of the store wrap up of all things that are going on in the comic book pop culture news. Of course, I could not do this wrap up without my other host. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you, James, for having me. This was a lot of fun. Just like the old days, when that back door would open up and discussion would start about something.
Yeah. So this is how things went backstore. So as we said, if you can support your LCS, support it. But if not, if you can just pick up books somewhere that you can afford, that's obviously Hoopla and everything else is there for you too. Comixology is there too. If you want to sometimes just reading, anything we can for the comics industry. So, and hopefully things will get sorted out with Diamond so they can keep going. But if you have your thoughts about what we talked about Diamond, about the Daredevil trailer, the new Superman trailer, Summer of Superman, anything, Summer of George, anything you want to talk about, we would love to see you in the comments on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, wherever. There's all those places you can leave comments or notes or get in touch with us. So we'd love to hear feedback from you. So we thank you for listening, and we will talk to you on the next episode.